President Trump is promoting his proposed travel ban in the wake of the deadly terror attack in London. In the direct aftermath of the attack, the president tweeted, quote, "We need to be smart, vigilant, and tough. We need the courts to give us back our rights. We need the travel ban as an extra level of safety." And then this morning, the president said this, quote, "The Justice Department should have stayed with the original travel ban, not the watered-down, politically correct version they submitted to Supreme Court." He went on to say that the Justice Department should ask for an expedited hearing of the watered-down travel ban before the Supreme Court and seek a much tougher version. Let's bring in CBS News Justice reporter Paula Reid, who joins us now from our Washington bureau. So, Paula, before we get into the legal implications of the president's tweets, tell us where things stand right now as the courts look at the travel ban.
Sure. Well, Vlad, as you may remember, just a few days after taking office, the president signed an executive order banning people from coming here from 7 predominantly Muslim countries. There are a lot of restrictions on refugees and an indefinite ban on refugees from Syria. Now, there also wasn't a lot of coordination with airports, with airlines, with the Department of Homeland Security, so that executive order caused chaos, and the courts ultimately blocked it. And so while all of that was going on, it became really apparent that there were going to be a lot of concerns about whether or not this order discriminated based on religion. So several weeks later, now having a Department of Homeland Security chief and an attorney general, the president revised that order, travel ban 2.0, if you will, banning immigration from just 6 Muslim countries, and it wasn't as restrictive on refugees. But Vlad, the courts have continued to block this travel ban 2.0 as well, and now the president has appealed to the Supreme Court.
So, I think I know the answer to this, Paula. Could these tweets be used to undermine the president's arguments?
Oh, yes. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and that is absolutely true with anything that the president says. So far in this case, they've used his campaign statements against him. In fact, the decision he'd appealed to the Supreme Court, that Fourth Circuit decision, the judges specifically cited his campaign statements as part of why they blocked this. They said, even if we don't have a huge problem with the text of this, your words on the campaign trail give this a context that makes us think this could be religious discrimination. So Vlad, now that he's gone on this tweet storm, he is essentially writing the opposition's briefs for them for the Supreme Court. I mean, these tweets will absolutely be used in the arguments as the Supreme Court decides whether or not to take up this case.
And Paula, this morning, the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Adam Schiff, tweeted this out, quote, "DOJ's new oral argument. Your Honor, I know the president keeps calling it a travel ban, but who believes him anyway?" What do you make of that?
Well, that's obviously meant to be snarky, but there's a grain of truth in that, which is that these tweets could be the first line in the opposition's brief to the Supreme Court, because for so long the administration has tried to argue that this was not a travel ban. Here you have the president doubling down on the fact that this is not only a travel ban, but he only signed the second one because they made him. He really prefers the first one that the courts blocked. None of this is really helpful for the Justice Department's case. And Vlad, there's also been some of the lawyers on the other side who oppose the travel ban. They've been joking too. They've been like, well, so glad we agree on the term travel ban. So a lot of snark back and forth on Twitter today. But the essence of the truth here is that this seriously undermines his legal argument going forward. And he had done so much to help himself. He had gone to Saudi Arabia. He had reached out to Muslim countries. They had a lot to work with. But all of that is undermined now by these tweets.
Right. And in another tweet this morning, the president seemed to be blaming his own Justice Department for the second travel ban. But didn't the president himself sign that revised executive order?
He did. It's an executive order, so it was signed by the president. I think what he's getting at, as he sort of fleshed that out in his other tweets, is that he had no problem with the first one. Of course, we know that the courts had issues with the first travel ban, and his cabinet and other people helped convince him to revise it to something that would still achieve the same ends, but would be more likely to pass judicial scrutiny. But this is not the Justice Department's doing. The Justice Department is just responsible for defending what he signs in a court of law, and they've been doing that, for several months now, and they're some of the best lawyers in the world, and yet it continues to be blocked.
All right, we'll have to see how it all goes from here. Our Paula Reid in Washington. Paula, thank you.